ragazzi. Welcome to another edition of Serie, Sitdown podcast of the world. I'm your host, Richard Carmen. Joining me, that's not Frank. On me tonight. No Frank tonight. I'm bringing the mouth of the South. Dono, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing very well. It's funny because even though, I live in Miami, which is one of the most southern points of the United States, we don't really consider ourselves to be the South. Like, we don't have manners. We don't have Southern hospitality. Like, I think you actually have to go, ironically enough, you have to go north of Orlando to actually find the South down in Florida. But I will accept the mouth of the South nickname.
I had to upgrade one voice for another voice here, so glad to have you on. How you been, man? Good. You look good. How things been?
Thank you, man. Yeah, I've actually I look presentable because I've talked to you a couple times, I think, over the past 6 months. But I've lost 50 pounds, man, in the last 6 months. Because listen, Inter have needed some help here to try and cross the finish line in a Scudetto race that I think they're probably going to lose. But I had to make sure I can fit into the jersey. I've told Mr. Inzaghi I'm ready to try out. I'm ready to play.
Nice. You are on the same training plan as Lukaku was last year, right? So good for you, man.
Not the one he's on this year where he's eating lots of cake, but I'm on the last year plan. I'm on that one.
He's on the Patania diet this year, so it's Anyway, another league, another story. We're not worried about that. But yeah, lots to get into tonight. No Frank Crivello tonight. Some family duties, but I have you on board with me, and so excited about tonight. Lots of games to get into. We had some obviously Champions League and other stuff getting into, but we're not worried about that. Neither of our teams are in it, so we're not too worried. But the title race, it's down to two teams now. It looks like the Scudetto is going to remain in the city of Milan. The question is, who's going to get it? I would say that you guys are the favorites. I'm sure you would say the opposite, right?
I would say the opposite. And listen, well, for a couple major reasons. Milan, unlike Inter, they control their own destiny. I thought that these past two results for Milan have been massive. I mean, getting the late winner against Lazio, getting a not quite as late, but still a late winner against Fiorentina, absolutely huge. Because, listen, going over the final 4 or 5 fixtures, on paper, Milan did have the tougher fixture list. But just that the error by Radu, which it's been 4 days. I still have nightmares about it. The error by Radu, which cost Inter a crucial point, because I didn't think they were going to win that match. Unfortunately, there was no creativity on the pitch at that time when it was tied 1-1 with Bologna. So I didn't think the winner was coming, but that unnecessary error by a very poor backup keeper cost Inter a very crucial point, because as you know, and I'm sure your audience knows, because we have smart Calcio fans watching this, that Milan hold the tiebreaker. So if Inter and Milan do finish even on points, the Scudetto goes to Milan. And I really do think that point loss by Radu's error could end up being very, very costly. Listen, Milan obviously are in the driver's seat. It's not going to be easy. I think both teams may hit a stumbling block along the way here over the final 3 fixtures, but it's going to come down, I think, to the last match day, which is fun.
Yeah, and Milan have Atalanta, which is always a big stumbling block. They could be on vacation mode, which they look like most of the season. But, for that reason, I think I like Inter. I said I think way too many times in this comment here. But Inter, they've been so good this year. They are arguably, or not even arguably, they've been the best team this year for the consistency basis. Milan has been very strong for the whole part of the season, honestly. Napoli's been in there as well. They've been very potent, but I think Inter have been so dominant, especially against the team they have to beat, that's where Milan has struggled. Now, maybe this is to Milan's advantage that they actually got some harder teams because they play up to their competition. When it's against teams they should beat, they struggle. But in the last couple of games, they found ways to get results. And so it'll be interesting. I agree. I think there are going to be some stumbling blocks between both of our clubs. But it's Italian drama, right? Something's going to happen. It's going to come down to the last match day. Hell, might come down to the last couple minutes of the game in both games. So we'll see. But we got a long way to go before that. Obviously, you mentioned Bologna upsetting you guys midweek and kind of caused this tightening of the Scudetto. The advantage was at Inter. Now it's with Milan. But we had a lot of games this weekend, Alex. Look at all these scores here. Lots of goals. Napoli and Lazio. I'm looking at your games in particular. But, man, what stood out for you this weekend with all the games and all the goals that happened here?
Well, a few major things stood out to me. One is you see how Napoli played with no pressure. right? No Scudetto pressure. It's unbelievable because
Unreal.
honestly, and and Richard, we've had you on our show a couple times in the last several months during this season. Like I've said it, I think and they've had a lot of injuries, Napoli, which makes it hard to be consistent. But I think when the full starting 11s are all healthy, I thought Napoli had the most potent team in Serie A.
Yeah.
And they've buckled a little bit in recent weeks under pressure. They have no pressure against Sassuolo, and they go out there and they look like world beaters, like absolute world beaters. So that stood out to me, that no pressure, and suddenly Napoli look like giants again. The Juventus Venezia game, very stressful, I'm sure, for every Juventino out there. I thought it was, listen, I'm not a fan of the man personally, but I thought Bonucci getting the brace on his birthday, that's a pretty cool story, right?
Yeah.
Lazio get the dramatic victory over Spezia. Lazio can't stop a nosebleed. I mean, honestly, they're like my Florida Panthers, the hockey team that I root for, where they can score 1,000 goals, but they can't stop anybody. That's how Lazio looked out there.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and it's not like, it's one thing if you're like, we're using sports analogies. One thing if you're Golden State, where you can just outshoot everybody and no play defense, but they don't have the defense, they don't have offense. It's just, roulette, Russian roulette. It's what it is with Lazio, and luckily they played Spezia, and it wasn't someone of better quality who could, capitalize defensively. But
also I'll add I couldn't watch any of that match, and I'm kind of glad I didn't, because Roma 0-0 Bologna, I'd probably rather have a colonoscopy than watch that game. But at the end of the day, I know that was a big result, like for Juventus, because that allowed Juventus to secure top 4, with Roma getting that 0-0 draw with Bologna. So that was a significant result in this one. And yeah, I mean, listen, we could talk a little bit more, Richard, about Inter's 2-1 against Udinese today. I didn't know what to expect heading into that match, because when you have a dramatic negative finish the way that Inter had midweek in that makeup match against Bologna, you never know what sort of mental state your team is going to be in.
Absolutely.
I was happy that Radu didn't have to start again. And listen, I'm sure this guy is going through a hell of a time personally, and I feel terrible for that. There was even some speculation as early as this morning that maybe Handanovic couldn't go. And like I said it this morning, Richard, and Handanovic did play, thankfully, and he played pretty well. But I said it this morning, if Handanovic couldn't go, I would honestly have gone down to the third keeper in Cordas, because how can I start Radu not knowing, this guy may completely be mentally finished in an Inter shirt? Like, how can I start him after that error? So thankfully, Handanovic was healthy enough to suit up and give it a go today. And first thing positively that stands out to me, and it stood out to me all season long, Ivan Perisic, he is having the best season of his career. Yeah. Like, he has been so good this year. Inter went out in January and signed one of the best left wing backs in the world, and he can't get on the pitch save for like an 87th minute substitution, because Ivan Perisic has been so good. Robin Gosens has not had opportunities to play. Perisic scored the opening goal in this match. He's just looked so dangerous and so confident on the left side all season long. He's been absolutely great. Inter get the penalty. I know, like, I see people complaining about the penalty awarded on social media. Like, okay, that's a 2022 penalty, Richard. Like, that's the thing. Like, okay, in 1995, that's probably not a penalty, because they don't have the slow motion replays to look at in the VAR. But clearly, Dzeko got tripped up. So 2022, that's a penalty. Of course, Lautaro Martinez, I don't want to see this guy step up to the spot ever again. Now, he did end up scoring on the rebound. He lucked out that there was a deflection after it hit the post, so he wasn't offside to play it in with his head. Lautaro Martinez, I saw this stat earlier today, Richard. All right. Lautaro only 57% from the penalty spot. Like, I would have hoped. Yeah, I would have hoped that if Çalhanoğlu had been on the pitch today, your guy, that he probably would have taken that PK. But I don't know, because Inzaghi has chosen Lautaro over Hakan, even when they both have been on the pitch together. But long-term, Lautaro is not the answer. Luckily, he got a fortuitous rebound. He was able to score on that. And then, silly me, I was thinking early in the second half, because Inter kept playing pretty well early in the second half. They botched a couple of scoring chances. Like, Dzeko had a great chance that he completely botched. Udinese were able to get one goal. But before they got their goal, I'm thinking, okay, this may be like a routine 2-0, 3-0. I can kick my feet up and just relax. Then, of course, I think it was in the 72nd minute, Udinese gets their goal. And then it's just heart palpitations for the final 20-plus minutes of the match, which the Inter experience, that's how it goes, Richard. I wouldn't have it any other way. Like the Pazza Inter, the heart palpitations, nearly conceding the equalizer. That's just how it goes with this club. But as we know, it's especially this time of year, it's all about getting the 3 points. Doesn't matter if it's ugly, doesn't matter if it's tense. This is a results-oriented business. There's now, I think, 3 match days to play after this. 3 points, just get them.
No. I agree 100%. I'm laughing because you talk about Pazza Inter and talk about Pazza on the show. We got another guest joining us, Jerry from the streets. What's going on,
my man?
Oh man, yeah, I left my house right now. I didn't want to go on my computer. I had to get out of the house. I've been on the TV for like the last 9 hours watching every shit soccer game today. Like literally.
Dude, I gotta tell you, Jerry, probably the most fun that I had all weekend was watching Lazio win a 7-goal thriller. Like you guys can't defend anything, but 4-3 game for a neutral like myself, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, sorry if you guys can't see me because it's pretty dark here. It's like 8:30.
It's an improvement on that face.
So people are gonna think I'm crazy while I'm talking on the phone here, but I don't care as I walk by. But
that's normal in DC, so you're good.
But yeah, I thought the Lazio game was fun. But I thought that Fiorentina were very fortunate to like not be a man down. Personally, I watched the Milan game today.
Yeah.
I thought it was one-sided. I went out to go get a wedding suit during the Inter game and absolutely didn't watch it. And when I got to my parents' house, didn't have it on TV, and they were replaying the game of Juventus versus Venezia on TLN. I don't know how a public television, like a big TV channel, Italian, does not have Inter playing at 12 o'clock, and they decide to replay Venezia versus Juventus, and they're not playing. And
who
also
programs that channel? Is it Luciano Moggi, who's like the head of that channel there?
I gotta talk to Stephen Moore because he works for this channel now.
Oh, he does?
So yeah, he does. I gotta talk to him because I think they have Milan. I think they put the Roma game at 2:45 on.
Oh my god!
With Bologna.
What a snooze fest that game was.
That was.
I didn't even watch it, but when I looked back and I saw the results 0-0 Bologna Roma, thank God I didn't watch that.
I'm gonna defend Richard probably on this, and I think he's probably talked about it. I don't think there's any conspiracies that teams are trying to help Milan win a Scudetto.
No.
Terracciano, big mistake today. Yeah. Happens.
That was awful.
Acerbi, I think it was an honest mistake. I'm more mad at the fact that he laughed after it. I get that people react that way.
Oh, the one against Milan, yeah.
I'm mad at the reaction, and I guess karma.
Did you see his reaction after his goal today, where he ran away from his own fans and went to the team to celebrate?
I saw that.
Is that what he did?
Yeah.
Yes.
He stopped in front of the fans and ran the other way and went to cheer with the team instead. And the announcer makes a comment about it.
Do you blame him though?
No, I don't.
I don't.
As much as said about him after that goal against Milan, I don't blame him.
I'm guilty. I called him out, but I'll be honest. I've had a long leash for him this season where I went out of my way and wrote 2 pieces about him, about how successful he's been in his career. But I understand that the laugh maybe not it means nothing. But when you gotta look like this, when you have done one thing after another thing, right? And the list compiles, and then all of a sudden you smirk after a goal like that. What do you think the fans are gonna say though? Yeah. The fans are gonna react that way because even if it means nothing, okay? You've gotten to the point now where there's no return, and what you do next, even if it means nothing, it's gonna be bad. So for me, he was in a position that should just never have happened. That's it. I just don't like the emotion. Like, I don't know, man.
Can I defend Acerbi for a minute for that goal that he gave up? So I thought when it happened that he was laughing because he was like, unfucking believable. This shit they're gonna score against me.
That's what I thought.
That's what I thought. And then everyone gets on him, and I'm like, oh, maybe I misread it or something. But I don't know now. I don't know. I heard his comments. I'm like, I mean, it's hard to tell. We don't know. We're not in their eyes, but it's, that you're right. That look doesn't look popular when you smile after giving up a goal like that.
No, it doesn't. But at the end of the day, time's come. 3 more games. And then, did you guys see the reports tonight that were fake about Savage?
Oh, I didn't see that.
No, was it the PSG United thing?
Yeah, I had to delete the tweet fast, man. I had people telling me it's fake news, so I took it down. But
it's funny. I saw your tweet. I didn't realize it was fake, so I saw it. I'm like, I trust Jerry, so he must be going. He must be going.
You don't want to call you Tancredi, so make sure you deleted that.
Oh, no, man. I deleted it because it was fake. But apparently, his agent said that Savage wants to go to United, and that PSG.
Well, right there, it's fake, because I don't think anybody really wants to go to United.
Well, no, hold on. I agree with you, but if United tomorrow morning says I'll give you €8 million per year, how you turn that down? He's getting double, right? He'll make more at United than he will at Juventus. That's for sure. Yeah. I think they'll offer higher wages.
I think the Ten Hagen project is better than the Ranić project. So, that's a little better, but still, you're right. I mean,
you guys really dodged a bullet with that Ranić thing. Milan really dodged a bullet there.
Yes, I do. And I was a supporter, and I still am, of Ranić. So I've always been of the impression that Ranić is a great team builder, terrible coach. I know his coaching experience. United took him as a manager. Why? Because he has no great history as a manager. It's been decent numbers at best. He's always been a behind the scenes kind of guy, and that's his job was going to be, interim and then become a consultant. That's where he would have thrived, as a consultant role. And that's even not what he wants. He wants to be a general manager or sporting director or whatever. So that whole signing by United was I don't understand it whatsoever. But I do agree. Milan dodged a bullet, because I don't think they'd have the same success as they are now with Maldini and Masada, with what Elliott's doing and Gazidis. I think this would have been a team, struggling to make, Europa League, maybe Champions League, if Ranić was here. And so, Milan dodged a huge bullet with not signing this guy. So,
well, it's just because, and listen, I didn't know this for a fact at the time when they were talking with Ranić, but it turns out Milan didn't need a revolution. Milan needed the opposite. Milan needed continuity, right? Which is important. Yes. And continuity is not the end-all, be-all, because if you've got the wrong sporting director and the wrong manager, by all means, sometimes it's okay to fire people and rehire people. But Milan was on an upward trajectory, so there was no reason to reinvent the wheel.
Exactly. And I think the team is playing for Pioli. They love Pioli. They would never do that for Ranić. Ranić's never had a team that's been in love with him. He's the opposite, honestly. The players tend to hate him because he's so strict with his rules and stuff like that. I mean, you heard her Ronaldo complaining already, and Bruno Fernandes, some other guys. So I'm glad we dodged the bullet. But, Inter, I think one of the best, talk about the other side of the city. Inter and Inzaghi, what he's done has been a phenomenal job, because, he's always been that guy's been the bridesmaid, never the bride. And he's done a phenomenal job with the consistency Inter's been doing this year. Helps with guys like Perisic and some of these other guys have stepped up, but the job Inzaghi's been doing this year has been phenomenal across all the competitions. And, hey, you guys still have a chance at a double this late into the season. So,
well, technically, they do still have a chance at a tripletino, because they already had the Supercoppa, and they could still potentially they'll probably bottle both, but they could still win Coppa and could technically still win a Scudetto. So they could get as many as 3 trophies. But I'm glad, what you brought up, Richard. I completely agree about. I think Inzaghi's done a very good job this season. I know a handful of Interisti who think he hasn't done a good job. I just think they're delusional. First of all, Conte, big shoes to fill. Is Inzaghi as good of a manager as Conte? No, I didn't think that coming in. I don't think it now. But that opinion is not going to change anytime soon. But when you think about Inzaghi coming in to this sort of a financial situation, having just sold Lukaku, who was far and away their best striker last season, and I miss Lukaku. I miss him from the penalty spot. I miss him bullying opposing defenders. Because Dzeko at 35, Dzeko could probably never do what Lukaku did the last.
Romagnoli lost his job because of Lukaku.
Yeah, so losing Lukaku, losing Hakimi, losing Eriksen, which was nobody's fault. That was an act of God,
Yeah.
and Serie A just, would not allow him to continue playing in this league. But, you lose all that, and then you expect Inzaghi to try and fill Conte's shoes. You knew that there was going to be a little bit of a regression to the mean. But overall, I think Inzaghi's done a very good job. Obviously, if he really, shits the bed the final 3 games, I guess I have a right to change my opinion, maybe. But I think to this point, he's done an excellent job.
You mentioned about Inzaghi doing so well with the limited funds. I think Pioli succeeded because of that as well. Ranić would have never done that. Jerry, someone who was very familiar with Inzaghi, and as the neutral, I quote neutral on this one. What are your thoughts on what Inzaghi's done at Inter this year? Considering what you've seen of him from Lazio previously.
Perform miracles. That's what he does. He's like a surgeon.
Yeah.
Like, that's what he is. He's a surgeon. Like, he turns shit into gold. That's what he's doing with Inter. People can say that Inter has his depth. I never thought that Inter had the depth that everyone thought they did, personally. I said that earlier in the year. I thought Lazio was going to compete for a top 4 spot, because at a time I thought Inter didn't have a lot of quality off the bench. I still don't think they do. I know I'm sounding crazy, but like, Vidal's old.
Yeah.
Dumfries has been up and down this season. You got You got Dzeko, who's now gone absent.
Gagliardini started today, and when I saw him in the starting 11, I was congratulating Milan already. I'm like, congratulations on the Scudetto. I don't know any Udinese fans, because who does? But I was congratulating
I know one.
them.
Sonia Missio.
Oh, you do?
Sonia Missio, yeah.
Okay.
But seriously, you take out Barella, you take out Hakan, and you take out, what's it called, Brozovic. What's their midfield really? They're like Lazio, basically, where they don't really have a plan B for their midfield.
Yeah, Vidal, Gagliardini, and Matthias Vecino, who is he's laughably finished. He actually got on today as a substitute, and I was surprised they didn't concede 5 goals when he came. I mean, Matthias Vecino has been completely finished for close to 3 years. He's been completely
Darmian's
finished.
been punching above weight too. He's
been very good.
Best year of the career, so.
Yeah. And then I think the back line is what's really kept Inter alive this year. The play of Skriniar.
Best back line, probably.
Bastoni has been really good. I still rate him ahead of De Ligt. That's just me, personally. I think that Bastoni is going to have a much better long-term career. Everyone's going to say, well, guess what De Ligt has achieved in the last 3 years? Well, guess what? He didn't achieve that by himself. He did it with a team, and I believe it was an Ajax. So for me, it's like, that's great. And then you have, who else? I think that D'Ambrosio has probably been the most improved player of the season under Inzaghi, if I had to choose something off the bat right now. Because every time he's come in, he's been quality.
Yeah.
He's been a reliable player. He hasn't been a liability. He's come in when needed, and I think that, given the fact that I don't think he was much. Did he play a lot last year, Alex? Because I don't remember him playing that much. But
he got a decent amount of playing. He always gets quite a bit of playing time, just because he can play center back and wing back. So he's like the Swiss Army knife. So he did get some playing time last year as well.
I think I don't watch a lot of Inter either. Like, maybe recently in the last couple of years I have, but for me, I think that he's looked much better this year, D'Ambrosio, and I think a lot of people forgot about him. And then you got the strike partnership. I think that Latito's a genius. Everyone's going to say that Tade made the deal for Joaquin Correa to sell him. It wasn't Tade. It was Latito who got that deal done. Yeah. I think people have to remember that he's the guy who got into the room, made the negotiations, and made it work. It made it happen.
Interesting.
So he got involved, and he was the third person, where he was the communicator to Tade of what he wanted done. So, best $31 million that's Lazio's ever made. But
for anyone watching this who didn't see the Inter match today, Correa today had one of the lowest football IQ plays I've
my
seen all
goodness, yeah.
season. Like you would expect to see this from like Serie when he passes it to a clearly offsides Arturo Vidal, who he puts it in the back of the net. But like anybody watching is like, wait, that's not going to count.
He's been watching Salamaker highlights, probably.
Yeah, it's like, why did he pass it to a guy who's like 10 yards offsides? I don't. It's like, oh, what are we doing here? But
Vidal's like, someone pass it to me. Let me go for
it. And with Correa, like I don't disagree with Jerry that Inter never should have bought him for 31 million. Like it was a waste of money. It wasn't worth it. At the same time, like I honestly, I wish that Correa had been able to play a little bit more this year. I know it's weird for me to say it wasn't worth the money, but I wish he played more because he did have a handful of injuries. But at the same time, like, I actually think Correa he's the best second striker that Inter have, that he can actually open things up more. When you pair Correa with either Lautaro or you pair him with Dzeko, either of those combinations is better than Dzeko and Lautaro together. Dzeko and Lautaro together, it's oil and water. They just do not mix. So Correa
even better than Alexis Sanchez?
He's a little bit of a mixed bag this year as well, because there are certain he actually there were a few, it's good you bring him up because I don't want to neglect him, because there were a few months when he was really in form. But lately, I think I've forgotten about him a little bit, Alexis, because lately he's not been in form and he's had some really cheap giveaways. But yeah, when Alexis is capable of every now and then being a world-class type of player. So yeah, you can throw him in that mix as well. But I honestly think Correa with Dzeko or Correa with Lautaro is better than the two of them together.
I agree. And I think you guys shouldn't give up on Correa just yet. I think he is a phenomenal player. He needs time to adapt to this system. You would think he knows Inzaghi's system already. He should, right? And
He's a bum. He's a fucking bum. Never mind. He's a bum.
So, Jerry, you can tell us. I don't know if you watched enough Inter this year, but Inzaghi's been doing different things with Inter this year than Conte did with Inter. It's different kind of – they had a few months to get used to the different kind of pressing. We saw the center backs pushing it really high in Inter system. Was Inzaghi's teams doing that with Lazio previously? Did you see I don't remember seeing the center backs pushing up as high as Inter are this year.
Inzaghi had the best midfielder, he had the best striker, and he had the best center back for one season. You know what Latito delivered him? Shit on a fucking stick. Okay? Shit on a fucking stick. That's what I'll have to say. Okay? Pisses me off. Every day I have to think about this.
Oh.
I'll say it every day. We had Cherby at his best.
Yeah.
We had Savage at his best. And we had
back in the day you had De Vrij as well, like up until 2018.
Yeah. But as for Inzaghi, he likes to play a high press.
Yeah.
He plays his defense very high. And I think that's what Inter's kind of struggled this year, where I don't think they have that kind of center backs to play high. And I'm not sure if Conte plays up high line as well.
But Bastoni is the guy who's done it. But Bastoni is the one that Inzaghi has given license a lot to really come forward and attack. And I think he's thrived in that role.
Yeah,
he'd be your Cherby then, because that's
exactly. He's left-footed as well, so very similar. Yeah.
But you know what? Inzaghi needs time. Rome wasn't built in a day. And nor was Lazio in 5 years, because Lazio would have won a Scudetto if it wasn't for COVID. So at the end of the day, I believe that they should stick with him for another year, at least 2 more, because it's a long-term project with Inzaghi.
Yeah.
And it hasn't always looked good. I think the biggest problem with Inzaghi, and it's a lot with a lot of managers, he doesn't have a plan B. And when
a lot of Italian managers don't have plan Bs.
They don't, but in his game management is very poor at times, where he makes 5 substitutions that make no absolute sense. And you're like, why did you bring on that player when you should bring on another player? So he's very mind-boggling a lot of the time. And it can be frustrating, but for the most part, I think he's done well with Inter. Like, he took them to the round of 16 of the Champions League.
Yeah.
What was that? I forgot the stat was the last time that was even done for Inter.
Over I think
12?
11. I think 2011. I want to say 11. Yeah,
It's been a while.
Yeah,
11 years.
think about this. He did that with Inter, and then last year he took Lazio to the round of 16 after like 2 decades or something like that.
That was a miracle right there. That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautifully done by him.
Yeah. So for me, he needs a Savage slash Alberto in that midfield to help him a lot more though.
Yeah.
Like I like Hakan. I think he's done a good job, but Hakan's not Luis Alberto, where he's kind of like, and that's where Alberto struggled this year, because that's the system where he strives really well, where he has time to hold the ball, he's not pressured to make a quick pass, and he has that vision in order to advance it forward. I think that's something that Inter has really lacked, and maybe something they need to like really consider in the summer.
You mentioned that Inzaghi shouldn't be on a short leash, and he should be given another couple of years, which I wholeheartedly agree with. You know, you took so many good pieces away from Inter, cut their budget, and then you expect them, you know, to have the same kind of results. Like, that's not going to happen. And he's done a phenomenal job. Another guy, I'll give you another guy just to get off of this Inter, Lazio, and Milan kick. Pioli next year, whether he wins the Scudetto or not, I think could be on a short leash, I should say, because
Really,
you know, and the reason I'm saying that is, if my mouse would work here, Anthony's kind of alluding to it. The InvestScore takeover. Now he says it's official. I think in the next couple of days it'll be imminent. The reason I say his job is on the line is because lots of money is going to come into the team, and
so
the
jealous.
expectation is going to be up high. I know. I don't even know what this is like. This is like PSG fans, right? So the expectation is going to be high. So if he doesn't produce with the money that he has, he's going to be gone. They're going to try to bring in someone world class to replace him. So even if he wins the Scudetto this year, they'll probably give him a little bit longer leash. And I mean, like, to mid-season. But if he's like not performing the way he needs to in the league and in Champions League, they're going to find out someone else who has the pedigree to do it. As a rival supporter, what are your thoughts with this possible takeover you're hearing from Milan and possibly leaving Inter in the stadium hunt, because there's rumors that this Bahrain group want to buy their own stadium for Milan and not share anymore with Inter?
Yeah, which obviously it totally makes sense, because every big club, ideally you want to have your own stadium. Like, the idea of sharing a stadium with, you know, a crosstown rival, it just doesn't happen a lot in Europe these days, and I'm sure it used to be a lot more common decades ago. So I totally get it.
Look,
like, I totally
you see
get
that?
it.
We got a fox.
A fox. Wow.
This fucker. Hold on. Let me tell you a story. Oh yeah, they're gonna fucking run him over.
Oh,
Let me tell you. Oh,
that's a big road there.
Shit, he made it.
Oh, did he make it?
Yeah, that fucker fucking woke me up last night when I was sleeping. Okay.
So you're hoping he got run over then?
He lives on my street. That guy, man. I have
that
to
your
say
neighbor?
that. No, that guy. Okay, my neighbor has 2 foxes in their backyard. That fucker every fucking night, okay, starts howling. So last night at 3:30, he's howling. Fucking, I don't know what the fuck he's doing. Woke me up. I couldn't go back to bed. He's literally staring at me right now while I walk. But like, I was like, what the fuck, man? Yeah, well, I got 2 foxes that stare at me every day, and I had a coyote the other day look at me. I was like, what's going on here in this neighborhood? Like, my parents' street, we don't have this shit.
This is a very exclusive Jerry's Time live on the streets.
Canada's wild, eh? Like, you guys just have these like predatory animals just running around, huh?
Well, sure. It's been in our street for 2 years, I found out.
Jeez.
Freaking
The wild animals that we have down here in South Florida, a lot of possums, which I don't like. Outside of the fact that they have rabies, most of them, they're not like, you know, I'm not really scared of a possum. Some raccoons every now and then, but bro, you have like freaking coyotes up there, Jerry. Just get the hell out of there, Jerry. Just move to a safer place now.
Yeah.
No, I'm used to it now. I went outside the street one day and they were right in front of me. I don't even bother. But like, I'm like, I've seen that guy there try getting hit by a car at least 6 times already. Somehow he successfully does not get hit. But yeah, continue, man. I had to say that. Sorry.
No, yeah. So no, I was just talking about the InvestCorp thing. Like, listen, the stadium thing makes sense. I mean, still at the end of the day, obviously from an Inter perspective, I think seems still like the best option for Inter would be that the 2 clubs work together. So I hope that there's some way to make that happen,
Right.
because it just seems like Suning's funds would be a little bit tight. You know, if Milan were to break away from Inter and build their own stadium, I don't really feel confident in Inter being able to do the same. So then they're probably stuck with the San Siro. I've heard some updates about, oh, maybe Inter would like help fund renovations to San Siro, which I guess would be all right. But the big problem is the revenue split. Like the big problem is how you don't get a whole lot of that because the stadium is owned by the city. So it'd be tough. And the whole, like the big picture, the InvestCorp thing, I mean, it was bound to happen. I think it's always funny how there had been like fugazi rumors for over a year, linking PIF to Inter, it's just been BS the entire time. And then just out of nowhere, it's like, oh yeah, and there's what is it? A Bahrain fund. It's what InvestCorp is that they're looking to buy Milan. So listen, hopefully Inter can be there someday, because honestly, Suning was fun for a while. It's hard when like you talk about these like Middle Eastern type of, and I'm no expert on this. So by the way, so if I say anything really stupid, don't think I'm pretending to be some kind of an expert on how this stuff works. But it seems like these sovereign funds are, they've got a lot of freedom with the way that they're able to spend their money. The problem with Suning for the last couple of years has been, when you are, subject to a communist government and you just cannot spend freely, it's just really limited what they're able to do, because the first 3 seasons of Suning, fantastic. I mean, they had a clear project. They were respecting financial fair play, but injecting as many funds as they possibly could. They brought Conte, they revolutionized the roster. In one summer, it was the summer of 2019, they broke the transfer record twice, bringing in Barella and bringing in Lukaku. But since the pandemic and since the Chinese government restrictions, they have 2 hands tied behind their back. And, it's reached this harsh reality where like Inter they've made some moves, don't get me wrong. And I think honestly, I've been told by some people, maybe they're wrong, but these people aren't usually wrong, that they're a couple of months away from, or maybe a couple of weeks away even from announcing Dybala on a quote unquote free to high wages. So I think that's probably going to happen, but they have to sell. Like they had to sell big players last year. I think they're going to have to make potentially a Lautaro sale. Hopefully that's it, but something like that to raise funds. So they're not able to free spend anymore.
That's a good transition, because I do want to talk about Dybala and Juventus. So say he does sign for Inter, right? And say he takes less money than he does at Juventus, or less than what he's demanding at Juventus. What does that do to Juventus? I mean, obviously the fan base is gonna be pissed off at Dybala, but how do you look at it? I mean, you can compare the Çalhanoğlu thing because it's the same thing happened. However, Çalhanoğlu's here, Dybala's here when you look at skill and all that stuff. So if you're Juventini or if you're just Juventus brass, how do you look at it if he signs with the rival at less money than what he's asking for at Juventus? Is he enemy number 1 now?
I would think so. I mean, far be it from me to ever speak for a Juventino. I don't think they would want me speaking for them, but I can't imagine how he wouldn't be public enemy number 1, right? Because it's bad enough just from the eyes of a fan. It looks bad when, one of your more talented players decides he would rather play elsewhere, but then you go to your most hated rival and you take less money hypothetically, you take less money from them than you were asked. Like he becomes a villain. And honestly, in that scenario, I'm just wondering, why not just leave the country? Like, and Jerry knows this. As an Interista, I don't really think I want Dybala. And it's nothing like, listen, I love the whole Argentinian thing that Inter have had with so many great Argentinian players over the years. It's kind of a fun thing. And he's a supremely talented player. This guy's never healthy. Like that's my big reservation.
Not a big game player either.
That's true. That's true. So you think about that, the fact that the guy is never able to get on the pitch. You're talking about crazy, even if it's less than what he was asking from Juve, crazy wages for someone you can't consistently count on to be there when you need him most. That's the sort of investment teams like PSG can afford to make, right? Not Inter. Like I think you need to use that money more wisely. But I almost feel like, And Marotta apparently has, they work together at Juve. He's still got a good relationship with Dybala. So I'm sure Dybala wouldn't be interested in Inter if not for Marotta. And I think Marotta wants to stick it to Juve a little bit. I think Marotta wants to say, look, I'm really going to fuck with you by taking one of your favorite pieces away and bringing him to where I am now. But we can't afford vendettas. Like we can't afford to make moves like that just to try and screw over in Juventus. Like it's a little far-fetched to me, but it seems like it's more than likely going to happen.
Jerry, obviously the other big elephant in the room is Chiesa coming back next season. Is obviously going to help immensely with Juventus. They should focus on Chiesa as the building block, but between him and Vlahovic, and who knows if Morata stays, I have a feeling with Dybala leaving that Juve may look at trying to get another striker, a third striker, or third attacker, as opposed to the real issue, which could be the midfield and the defense. What do you think are the biggest issues for Juventus are that they really should focus on first?
A midfielder. They need a freaking box-to-box midfielder who can cover both defensively and offensively, and they can move the ball. That's their issue.
Yeah,
and it's going to be their issue still because they're not going to get Savic. They'll probably end up buying Pogba, and I don't believe in players coming around for a second time and being as successful as they were the first time. I think that when Pogba was there, he had a good quality midfield that was supporting him and kind of made him a better player. And the fact that he wasn't the number one guy when he was at Juve, he was the second, third guy. So it helped him to kind of flourish much better. I agree. If I'm Inter, you don't bring back Dybala. You don't bring Dybala. Sorry, you don't bring him back. You don't sign him. I think that their training staff is much better, and that can really benefit Dybala in his health. But again, we've never seen him play in big games in the Champions League. We've never seen him do the things that Juventus have been waiting for so many seasons. Scoring against Salernitana is not special. It's not an achievement. I'm sorry. It's not, though. It's not an achievement.
Not.
And as for Hakan, I don't think it's similar because it was a relationship where it kind of was at the point where he wanted to leave Milan. Dybala didn't want to leave Juve. He wanted to stay, but now if he turns around, takes less money at Inter, it's stupid. Should have stayed at Juve in the first place.
Or if you want to leave, if you're mad at Juve, leave the country. Go play somewhere else. Because
La Liga, he would thrive. I think.
I agree. I think that'd probably be the best league for him. But it's you have to know that if you stay in Italy and leave Juventus for Inter willingly, you're going to have to deal with, I'm sure, death threats. You're going to have to deal with some of the harshest treatment when you step on the pitch against Juve. I hope he's mentally ready for that because it's not going to be fun for anybody. He's a professional footballer. It's part of the life. Maybe he'll be fine with that, but that's a tough existence.
There's one more elephant in the room I want to get to before we get to Who on Calcio Twitter. Obviously, the passing of Mino Raiola has a tremendous effect for the whole footballing world, and in particular, all of his free agents or whatever you want to call it, his players. Because you talk about Paul Pogba, you talk about the list goes on and on. Zlatan, it goes on and on. Who knows what happens with these players here? I mean, obviously, you can say what you want about him. If you had a player on your team that was owned by him or whatever, or managed by him, you hated him. But he's probably one of the best agents if you're a player to have because he got you the money that you wanted and got you the moves that you wanted. And he seems like, at least by the players, that they absolutely loved him. I mean, it's gonna be a huge effect on world football. He changed football just because of the agency and selling and buying players and being involved in all that. But it's a big loss for football, no matter what you think of him. I'm curious what your thoughts are, Jerry. What's your thoughts on Mino Raiola?
He's like the Taylor Hernandez of Serie A, where you love him but you hate him kind of guy.
Sure, that's good.
Yeah.
You hate him if he's on your team. Sorry, you hate him if you play against him, but you love him if he's on your team because he does the dirty things to get you over the hump. And I think that's what Mino Raiola kind of reminds me of, where he did what he had to get the best for his players, to get the best player. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's all about agent fees. Don't get me wrong. It's different than North America where they're not looking, they're a salary. They're not looking to make a hockey player 80 million or whatever it may be, right? But in football, it's like they need to get the best for their dollar. And I think that it coincides because like I think that you can see by Zlatan the relationship that he built with that specific player, and it shows that he went to war against these clubs, because you also have to remember that the player only makes X amount while the club makes much more in the long scheme of things. So the agent is doing best for his players, and I think that's what he did. He built a relationship where I don't think it was very common where players left Mino Raiola for another agent or to represent themselves. That was a very rare thing you would probably hear.
Yeah, and Lukaku did it actually. Was one of the rare ones.
Yeah, but he's a baby anyway, so it doesn't really matter. He doesn't count, man. That guy's so fragile. You have to come off Twitter, man. Okay, like the minute you tell him when he really sucks, and he cries. But anyway, that's a different story. But at the end of the day, I think that Raiola really, I think he changed the game for many ways. And I tweeted this yesterday, and people were like, "No, he didn't." Absolutely, he did, though. Maybe not football itself, but the scheme of how agents approach, how they do business with owners, has really changed a lot because of him and how aggressive he is, and it doesn't back down. Like, I think the scale is really changing. You know what, man? He landed a lot of big players for a lot of small and big clubs, like Juventus. He brought Ronaldo, and who knows how much that brought in marketing.
Wasn't that Jorge Mendes? Was
that Mendes?
Yeah, it was Mendes. Yeah.
Oh, never mind. My bad. Shows how much I know, but
yeah, no,
yeah.
Sure.
But you get what I'm saying.
De Ligt to Juve, he brought that. That was a big move.
Oh, is that De Ligt? De Ligt.
Yeah.
Okay, that was the video of Juventus then.
Yep.
He doesn't count then. Never mind. But yeah,
Alex,
it's sad at the end of the day.
Alex, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the fact that that Raiola, to have an agent so hated by most fans, I don't know if too many football fans who are like, God, I love seeing my club negotiate with Mino Raiola. The fact that he was hated by so many fans, but for the most part, beloved by his clients, I think that goes to show you what a good agent he was. Now, really, obviously, very flamboyant, very aggressive with the way he negotiated. But at the end of the day, like for players who wanted to be in the best possible financial situations, you cannot argue he is a great agent. And you notice that the trend of certain players, like someone mentioning Insigne in the chat, I'd forgotten about that one. Great example, because I do remember that. I mentioned Lukaku having left Raiola. Like the only cases of anyone leaving Raiola was when at that time in their life they valued a certain club over their agent, because for Raiola, as you know, you guys, the Milanisti, know it, from the Donnarumma experience, that it's going to be all about the money with that guy. But listen, that's what most players are looking for. They're looking for the best possible deals. And also, I'm sure a lot of clubs didn't like Mino Raiola very much as an agent, but he was a necessary evil, because you knew, like Juventus was able to do it, if you could build a good working relationship with Mino Raiola, he was going to scratch your back. Like if you made one of his clients a good deal, he was going to funnel other clients to you, and he would help you. So it was, maybe it was like making a deal with the devil, but it was very effective for a lot of these clubs. And listen, just hearing the way that, his clients have reacted to his passing, and it was, I'd only known for, I guess, the last, week or so that he was ill. I didn't realize how in rough shape that he was in until, the initial premature reports came out about his death that were confirmed a couple days later. But it's awful, because I think Jerry said it best. This guy was like, he was a pioneer. He changed the game, and he did solid work for his clients. So respect. And obviously he changed football. He will be missed.
Absolutely.
I'll say one thing though. A lot of people blame the agent for their decisions. I think that stems down to the player, like Donnarumma. We can blame Mino all you want, but at the end of the day, if the player is willing to accept whatever they want, that's on the player at the end of the day. Yep. He's paying him to do a job, and if he's happy with what he's done, hey, it's out of Mino's jurisdiction. But you know what? I'm happy he's fleeced teams like PSG, oil teams, where he's been able to take every cent possible. And I don't blame him, man. If a club's making billions of dollars, you don't think he's gonna try to make every cent on the dollar?
Of course.
But again, football is a ruthless sport. I found out now. The last 3-4 years, started watching it again, and there's so many negatives to it that I can keep on going, which has really made me watch less lately. From agents being greedy to owners being greedy to I think football, I'll sum it this, needs a salary cap. It needs a salary cap bad, and it's what restored the NHL in North America.
That's a good point. All right. Do you guys have a goal of the week or a play of the week from this past weekend?
Ooh, what was the goal? Remind me who scored it. The Venezia goal against Juventus. Aramu. That was a freaking screamer.
Yes.
I watched that goal.
Beautiful team goal too.
My God. Yeah, that's right. The buildup was incredible. That was my and listen, Juve ended up winning the game, so don't be sour at me, Juventini. You got the 3 points you needed or 3 points you wanted, Champions League, all that. But that was an excellent team goal.
Yes, absolutely. Jerry, you got a goal of the week or a play of the week?
I'll do two, but it's one's banter and the other one's legit.
All right.
I'll go with my legit one because I was able to watch the game with Lazio. Savage. Once again, Savage and Alberto showing how dynamic they can be. And the goal kind of reminded me of when we scored against Juventus prior to the pandemic in December of 2019, when he sent a long ball into the box to Savage, controlled it, brought it down, and beat Szczesny. And it was kind of similar to what he did yesterday. Yeah. Long ball into the box, brings it down, controls it, goes with his left foot, scores.
No, that was a good one. That was a really good one too.
My banter.
Go ahead, banter. What's your banter?
A Chirby scoring when it shouldn't have counted.
See, I thought your banter goal was going to be Radu's mishap. I was ready to leave. I was ready to storm off the set here.
Which one you're considering?
For the banter goal, Radu, the goal against Bologna. I thought that was going to be your banter. I was going to storm off the set.
I'm not gonna hate on the guy, man, because my wife actually, I showed her my wife watches a lot of soccer and slash football, when you want to call it, but she felt bad for him. She's like, how can you hate on a guy who's hardly started this year? Pressure's on him.
Play for Inter. Yeah, this is Calcio. We're not in the feelings business here. I hope
she's a female. What do you want?
Okay, listen. I hope that he doesn't people aren't shouting obscenities at him on the streets or worse. Let the man live his life. He made a mistake, but at the same time, you're talking about, this is a Serie A keeper. He was a Serie A keeper before he got back to Inter. That's inexcusable. I'm sorry. I don't wish the man or his family any ill will, but there's no excuse for that.
I'm gonna say that my play of the week is in the Derby della Nantena. A stoppage time penalty kick saved by Aldero. It would have been a 1-1 game had they scored, but they didn't. So all right. So Jerry, your battery's dying here. So we're gonna go right to Who Won Calcio Twitter. Since Jerry's here, gonna go really quick through this here.
I'm on 10%, so I have another 10-15 minutes probably.
All right, well, we'll be done before that. All right, first coming in from the Football Kit podcast. No matter how big they make it, Napoli keep losing their bottle. Oh, that's leader of the clubhouse right there.
That is excellent.
All right, let's see what we got here. Let's see, scrolling through. Okay, Uncle Sharma nominating this one. All right, so this comes from Simo Giordano, Giovanni Carnaval, the Wolf of Sassuolo, explaining the core business of his firm. If you haven't watched it, watch this video. It says this is gonna win this week for me. I mean, you got to go ahead and read it, but it's hilarious. And I actually think someone. Here we go. Here's the official tweet. It says, the way Sassuolo does business is very simple. They follow young academy players, and if they're promising, they buy them for peanuts. They throw them in the senior squad with no pressure, a few goals, a call to the national team, and they resell them for $50 million. That's Sassuolo's method.
That's pretty true.
It's 100% accurate.
100%. All right, moving on. This comes from Mukotar 1098. It goes, so the original tweet was Semper Milan saying Saki accuses Inter of playing 1960s football or branding AC Milan modern international. Attack says, would love to know what makes Milan so modern. Irish Inter fan says, complaining, teams used to lose with indignity.
But also, and I saw the Saki comments, like, I don't think he's watched Inter since Inzaghi took over, because it's actually, when they're on, they play champagne football.
Yes,
and that's not even a full compliment for me, because Richard, you probably know this. I know Jerry knows this. I actually preferred the Conte approach, right? Even if you only had 30% possession, but you had those breathtaking counterattacks. Like I love watching Conte ball. So, but Inzaghi ball is more aesthetically pleasing. Yeah. That's not 1960s football. I'm sorry. Like Saki has not watched Inter since last year.
Here's a question. If tomorrow morning you had the choice, the option of bringing back Conte or sticking with Simone Inzaghi.
Conte? You kidding me?
Thank God.
Kind of a question is.
He wins. He's a winner.
Conte, of course.
He's a winner.
Okay. I think Conte.
And honestly, and I'm this is not banter, because again, I don't think Inter are going to win the Scudetto this year. But I think if Conte were still in charge,
they win it.
They'd be up 10 points at least right now. Honestly, because they would not have had, because with Inzaghi, and I think Inzaghi's doing a fine job. But they had almost a 2-month blackout from February to April. That would not have happened under Conte.
I also hate the argument that he's a manager who can't multitask and do Champions League and Inter say in the Scudetto. Team can do it because they don't have the money to compete on two fronts, these teams. So it doesn't really matter what Conte can and cannot do. The resources of any Italian team is not there. So.
And you mentioned Conte being a winner. Another winner here, Saturnion, coming in with the next nominee. So Nima originally tweets this out, a video about the goal that Dumfries scored on the breakaway. Saturnion chimes in and says, he mocking Nima, this illustrates Simone Inzaghi's football, perfect, da 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 da. And then he goes, Pioli, hehe, bravo Ante, bravo Rafa. That's the little game plan.
I like it.
All right, moving on. This one comes from Milan Ologi. He says, Inter, we have a game in hand. The hand cut off.
I got to admit, for his down, I was so down after the Bologna game. When I saw that tweet, I laughed. That's how good that tweet was. That was the worst moment of Inter's season, and yet I see that tweet and I laughed. That's how good that was.
All right, moving on here. The original tweet. Oh, this is Sansone talking about the result after Bologna beat Inter, and so he basically said, and I have the quote here. Hold on. I got it here. I wrote it down because I knew it was going to come up. And now go ahead.
Are you talking about Sansone talking about how he should join Milan?
Yeah, it says, so the journalist said, you were a Milanista as a kid. Did you think that the favor you handed them today? And Sansone said, I hope someone or Maldini calls me up, at least a thank you or a loan so I can pay the Champions League so I can play in the Champions League next season. Nicely done by Sansone. All right, this next one comes from Art Morelli. So Inter lost 2-1, Fischio Finale, and he says, I read that as Schifo Finale. Nice. All right. Good. Next one comes from Rossano. In 2018, I'll translate you guys for it. So in 2018, we lost the Scudetto in a hotel. And 2022, we lost the championship and the hotel.
That's pretty good.
All right. Any others? Oh, Nima. It's all the Inter players on the back of the truck and Radu with his hand on the handle.
Oh my God. I'm telling you, I love Nima. He's a personal friend. I'm convinced he hates Inter and his whole life is I'm telling you, I am convinced he's a Milanista who for 20 years he has been masquerading as an Inter fan. He's a personal friend of mine. So Nima, if you're watching this, I say this with love. I am convinced he hates Inter.
Secret Milan fan.
He's probably laughing here somewhere. All right, this one comes in from Georgiant, and it's I'll start from the beginning. It's all the Champions League teams that listen to music, and the Roma comes in with their Conference League music and starts dancing in front of all the Champions League contenders. Little offense reference here.
Oh man.
Oh, Roma.
That's beautiful.
Roma. All right, next one. So a lot of false rumors about Raiola's passing before he actually died. And so someone tweeted in Statuoso or whatever his name is, says Raiola asked for a 20% commission to enter heaven and got sent back.
I saw that one online. That was good.
Oh my gosh. All right. Antonio Caggiano says, this is from a tweet from Elon Musk, says, I'm going to buy Napoli and bring back Maradona.
Oh my god! And by the way, when Elon gets on Twitter, he's like a 12-year-old. So he's buying Twitter, but he's like when he wrote that tweet about how and now I'm gonna buy Coca-Cola and put the cocaine back in. I'm like, did you think that was fun? Like it's just not fun. Like, I'm not offended by the joke. Or like I live in Miami. Obviously, cocaine is not offensive to me, but it's a bad joke. It's not funny, man.
I think he's great, man. I think he's great.
I think he could be good for Twitter, like honestly. And
I love him.
I'm not. It's a weird thing, like when people get political talking about Elon Musk. I am neither a Republican nor a Democrat. I am neither. I am like politically asexual. I'm off on my own planet. Honestly, I think Elon buying Twitter, I think is a good thing because I think that there are way too many snowflakes on Twitter, and I think we need to make it more inclusive.
Give Jerry his check back.
Yeah,
I don't care that I lost it. I want to know why I lost it. That's all.
Right.
I can live with myself if I knew why I lost it.
Yeah.
If I told somebody like I don't know, I must have told somebody to fuck off and they got mad at me. Maybe Lucas Leiva reported me.
Could have been.
Fuck.
Take this guy's check mark away now.
Speaking of taking away check marks, though, we should. Tancredi Saturnyon chimed in on and says Raiola saw Tancredi Palmieri as a journalist that broke the news of his death and decided to come back.
That was good. I saw that. I saw that.
All right. And the last one, I think, is one more. So two more. This one comes from Fil di Canto. It's Nima Bingo, everyone. Just like the Bird app, it's free. The winner gets Spalletti's pet duck, Bianca Neve, as a prize. Those who don't play are incels and shit libs. This game elsewhere has been stolen by Prodizio. Nima Bingo.
Those are all Nima's quotes.
Yes.
They're fucking. Whoever made that is a genius.
That is
love
great.
you, Nima. Love you, Nima.
That's good banter.
And
that is great banter.
Last one. Milano Miguel says, Pobego is coming back from Bakayoko, is gone. All Milan fans celebrating like Ronaldo. Which one's for you guys?
Listen, I'm gonna have to vote for the one that in my darkest moment made me laugh the hardest, and that was the game in that one. I'm also a big Game of Thrones fan until they ruined it in the final season. Up until the final season was a big Game of Thrones fan. This one, honestly, if that could make me laugh as an Interista, you know it was good. I vote for that one.
You got a winner, Jerry?
I'll go with the bingo. I like it. It's creative.
Okay.
I like that. I saw it online. I thought it was creative.
Very creative.
I didn't see that till right now. It's really funny.
I gotta give full marks to effort, man. Like to make that chart doesn't take over. That's dedication, man.
That's another good point. Like somebody actually had to sit and Photoshop that. It's a great point.
Yeah, man.
All right, so I got to break the tie here. I like this Roma one. I like the
Roma one too. I'll give one. I'll prove that too because Roma sucks. Fucking Conference League. You ever see the way their fans think they're in Champions League on Thursday and they're fighting for the biggest trophy of their life?
Dude, it took me like 5 months to realize I could even watch Conference League. Like I just assumed I would have to steal some kind of like a pirate. I realized, that's also on Paramount Plus. I had no idea until
First game
February.
Me too. I'm gonna break the tie. I'm gonna go with this one, the game in hand.
That was so good.
Effort doesn't win today.
It doesn't win today.
Well, there are no losers. There are just some winners that win more than others on Who Won Calcio Twitter. Frank's
in the house. He's like, "What is this shit?"
Never mind, Frank. You didn't see our Wolf talk yet.
My last word before we go is we could see Berlusconi and Galliani back in Serie A next season. Monza are in second place in City B, so just wrap your heads around that.
That's wild.
They could be Scudetto winners before Milan. Who knows? We'll see.
Wait, is he going to be prime minister again too? Like, is it going to be the full comeback?
That's right. Bonga parties everywhere.
Hey, Berlusconi Part 2 is going to be Lotito. You watch out, man. He wants to be prime minister, man. He's really that guy's heavy.
But who's going to vote for him? Because when I watch Lazio games, there's like 800 people in the stadium. Like, but who's going to vote for this guy?
You'd be surprised.
Doesn't even have any fit. At least when Berlusconi was the Milan president, they had fans. Like Lotito can't even get people in the stadium.
I'm not gonna fucking go against the guy because I don't know what goes on in the world of Italy with that guy. But I don't know, man. I think. Well,
I can tell you something, Jerry. If Lotito becomes prime minister, there will be a McDonald's on every block in the entire country.
I think Lazio is going to be sold within a year or two. I really do believe that.
I can become prime minister.
I think someone's going to buy Lazio. I'll leave it like that. I think the time is coming.
Well, I got my comment for Frank. Frank, you got to be like Anthony. You got to be first here in the chat. You can't be coming around an hour into the podcast. Like, who does that? Really? Come on, buddy.
Yeah, what the hell?
All right, let's wrap this up. Jerry, give your chance to plug whatever you want. Plug yourself.
Frank, IFT probably have reported me. I just saw that. I wouldn't cross my mind on that one. But you guys can follow me at JMancini8 and the Calcio Pod with Alex. And that's about it. I've really cut back on the writing. I've decided to do like these long walks and try to get out more now that COVID is kind of done. But
watch out for those coyotes and foxes, man. I'm worried about you out there.
And those killer cacti.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. apparently there's
a Hey Dude reference.
There's an alligator on the loose too, apparently near my neighborhood.
What?
Up by you? Those are usually down by me, not up by you.
Yeah, I saw it in the news yesterday. There's one in Brampton, apparently. Well, you guys wouldn't know what Brampton is.
Yeah,
Sharma would know. Sharma knows Brampton. Oh yeah, you probably know.
How does Sharma know? He's in England.
Yeah,
because he's got family in Brampton.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, man, it's his people. What you want, man? That's exactly what he tells me. My people live in Brampton. Okay. I'm not trying to be racist or anything. Those.
I don't see how that was even remotely ready. His battery.
IFTV reported him. Maybe Uncle Sharma reported him. His battery died, so.
Yeah, he did tell us his battery was going to die.
Yeah, at JMancini8. Follow Jerry Mancini.
Oh, my God.
Oh,
Too funny.
Alex, where can our followers find you?
Oh, man. Well, yeah, I mean, I co-host with Jerry. We didn't have an episode last week because Jerry and I both had a lot going on. You guys, for those who follow me on social media, you may have seen this. My very hyperactive 4-year-old had a big fall this past week, and one of his front teeth got knocked clean out. Oh, it was a whole thing, a lot of blood, emergency dental appointment, no daycare for him all week, which means, dude, like Richard, I've been drinking like 6 espresso shots per day. I just been because my kid, if I can't get him out of my hair for like 8 hours a day in daycare, it just I'm completely just about it. So we didn't have an episode this past week, but we're gonna be back on Wednesday night this coming week on the Calcio Connection podcast. So please follow us there. Our YouTube channel at Calcio Connection is where you find us there. Be sure to subscribe to that. I host like half of the shows on the internet these days. Try to hustle wherever you can. For those in here, if you're European, you don't give a shit. If you're North American, maybe you will. I host a daily live stream on the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel talking North American sports. I also host the Locked On Canes podcast, which covers Miami Hurricanes football and basketball. I do that every day. So just find all that stuff, support it so I can put some food on the table.
There you go. Absolutely. Definitely follow all that here. We'll retweet all that stuff, and definitely love the Couch Connection, guys. We love you. Love your podcast there. Big fans of your show. So definitely give Alex and Jerry both a follow and give their Couch Connection a follow. Follow them on YouTube as well. My cohort Frank is in the chat, but you can follow him at FTC_21. You can see my handle right there. Had it right the first time. Serie Sitdown is part of the World Football Index. You can follow us on YouTube, anywhere that streams music. Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. So definitely give us a follow if you haven't done so already. But yeah, thank you, Alex, and Jerry,
My
wherever
pleasure.
you are in alligator land or coyote land. And,
I hope the alligator didn't get him.
Yeah, maybe. He said alligator, and boom, it's like Captain Hook. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do?
Took the hand and the phone right out of Jerry's hand.
The game in hand, it's gone. With that, we're gonna wrap this one up until the next Serie A Sit Down podcast comes. We'll catch you next week. Have a good night.